All right. My name is Big Time. And my question this morning is I have a real life scenario that I want to talk about with people. And then I'll get into the defensive gun use and some crime. And they're coming for the kids. So here's my question to everybody. I live in a suburb where I'm not the majority. And a black family moved here from Baltimore. And the father was talking to me one time because he saw our dog. We have a bully breed dog. And he was like, "Oh, that's a nice dog. Where'd you get it?" And I told him and everything. And we were talking. And I said, "Well, I'm from Philly, and I've seen these dogs have a bad reputation in Philly." And he said, "Oh, man, I'm from Baltimore, man." I said, "Yeah, what brought you here?" He said, "Oh, it was real dangerous, man. I had to get my son away from all that bad influence." And I looked at him and I said, "Bad influence, what do you mean?" And he said, "Oh, man, just bad culture. There's a lot of bad culture in Baltimore." And I said, "Do you mean other blacks, like other black kids?" And he looked at me, gave me this really dirty look, and then he walked away. So here's my question. A black father is considered a good father if he removes his son from his community, right? He acknowledges that his son's life is in danger or that his son's life could be threatened or he could be put in prison. It's prison or death, right? That's pretty much how it ends up. So he recognizes the danger, he cares for his son, and he moves his son to a neighborhood where there's barely any black people, right? So the question is, what if a white person or an Indian person from India, not Native American, or an Asian person says, "I don't want to send my kid to any high school in Baltimore"? Why? Well, because there's a lot of black violence from black kids. How will that white, Asian, or Indian person be treated? They'll be called racist, right? The black father will be seen as a hero because he recognizes that his community is violent. Yet when other people recognize the same thing, they're racist. Just a question, you got any thoughts? Leave a comment, come in the chat. So anyway, to get to the defensive gun use, we got to follow up to that shooting that happened in Houston for people to catch up. A man and a woman were burglarizing. They were breaking into cars. And while the woman was breaking into cars, the guy was in the car. And as it turns out, a homeowner came out and shot the woman, shot her dead. So equality. That's what you want, right? You want men and women to be treated equally. Okay, well, when women commit burglary, you get shot too. I don't, that's what you wanted, right? You want equality. So let me refresh this and get to the story because people have short attention spans and I really need the attention span for when I read at the end. So now essentially the homeowner is facing a grand jury to see if he should face any charges. Now I was saying before that
I miss Jim. Ever since we started looking for a rewards credit card, he's been on the fence about which one to go.
I was saying that Pennsylvania has a different type of castle doctrine than Texas. Texas actually has a castle doctrine that extends to your yard and your property. Can't do that in Pennsylvania. It's not to say you can't defend yourself, but you can't threaten somebody if you're in your grass. It always has to be a sort of like de-escalation, defense. You're trying to back up. You can't threaten somebody. Unless they're threatening your life is only when you can use lethal force. I don't understand Texas castle doctrine, but let's play it. But again, they have a castle doctrine where if you're literally on their grass, from my understanding, you can tell them to get off your property and you can use lethal force to do it. So they have a little bit more of an extreme castle doctrine than Pennsylvania. And again, Pennsylvania's castle doctrine extends to your home, your business, and your car. But Pennsylvania is pretty based. If you have a concealed carry, you can carry legally any legally owned, purchased FFL from an FFL handgun loaded in your car on you. based, very based state.
Determine if a homeowner will face charges for shooting an alleged car burglar. Police say a 26-year-old woman and an unidentified man.
I don't think you should do this. Someone's robbing your car. Look, man, if they're not threatening your life in Pennsylvania, oof, you're probably going to prison. If they're threatening your life or the life of your family, like let's say someone was breaking in this car and your kid was in the car, hey, go for it. Hollow point away. Mag dump, revolver dump, whatever. But if no one's in the car, technically no one's life is in danger. So in Pennsylvania, this guy would be potentially in prison. But Texas is different, so I don't know it that well.
And were breaking into cars in the Spring Branch area when the homeowner shot the woman several times. Her body was later found in a ditch on Hardland Drive near Antoine Drive. The other suspect ran away. The Texas law known as the Castle Doctrine states a person can use deadly force to protect property against arson, burglary, theft, or other criminal mischief during the nighttime.
Shop J.
Yeah, so I mean, that'll go to a grand jury. I mean, I guess it really depends, you know, because if people keep coming to your neighborhood, I mean, look, it's kind of like a double-edged sword. It's like the police and communists and liberals are going to say, oh, you're going to shoot somebody over property? Well, I mean, look, if people keep coming into your neighborhood and stealing everything, at some point it's going to come to that. At some point, there's going to be a confrontation because there's going to be somebody who says, you're not allowed to steal my shit. Get a job like everybody else. All right. And then, since we cover insanity at Temple, I want to show what the president of Temple is doing. So apparently the president of Temple is drinking the Kool-Aid and just isn't aware of what Obama knows, which is Obama left Chirac. But apparently the president of Temple is down for the cause, right? We'll probably be covering his obituary. I give it 6 months before something happens to him or somebody he cares for. And I wish that wasn't the case, but, you know, denial is a hell of a disease.
And his Templeton said,
you know, they're trying to always talk about the root cause of violence and the root cause of poverty. Well, denial is at the root cause. Denial is pretty much at the root cause of every mental illness. And this guy has it bad.
As this is more than just a PR move amid concerns over violence around campus. Action News reporter Corey Davis is live in North Philadelphia with what the president says he is trying to accomplish. Corey.
Hey, Matt, good morning. Yeah, we're told that he's trying to show his further commitment to engaging not only
hey, are there shootings down there? Yeah, send the black guy.
With the 37,000 students here at Temple University, but also the community in those surrounding neighborhoods. Jason Wingard, the president of Temple University, he will be pretty much in the mix of everything. The Leah Cora Center is down the street from his future home. I want to give you a look there at where he's going to be living. We're being told that Wingard will sell his home, which is currently in Chestnut Hill, and then he'll move into a row house on North Carlisle Street, a block off of campus. It's just off of Broad Street.
So what do you think? This is the president of Temple University. Okay, so this guy is 100% fine denying college students their legal right to carry. This is a communist, woke, progressive college. It's not even that good a college. They have an anti-racism center where they teach, you know, white people are systematic institutional poverty redlining is the cause and excuse for all the black crime. If you're 18 or 20, you're not allowed to have a long gun in Temple camping. You can't even have mace. That's considered a weapon. That could get you expelled from the college. You can't have a gun. They even say, and I've shown this before, if you have a legal concealed carry, you're not allowed to have it on campus. They don't have a problem with police officers with guns on their campus. Do you think this guy will have armed security where he lives? And when do you think this guy is going to experience a break-in? Temple students are being robbed, beaten, their homes are being broken in, literally like 5 to 10 times a week. People are walking right up to Temple students, putting a gun in their face and robbing them. Why does this guy think he's fucking different? Because he's just in denial about the violence coming from his community.
Street between Norris and Diamond Streets and still within Temple University Police Patrol Zone. The university owns the home that Wingard will live in with his wife and 13-year-old son. The couple's other 4 children.
Sounds like subsidized housing to me.
children are away at school right now. Wingard will be the first Temple University president to live this close to campus, rather, even on campus too, in decades. He said, quote, "We intend on deepening relationships with neighbors, students, faculty, and staff as part of our efforts to demonstrate how Temple can impact the future through authentic engagement." So a major focus moving forward, of course, will be crime prevention. Wingard's Violence Reduction Task Force released safety recommendations last month, stating that the university must play a key role to help reduce high crime rates in surrounding North Philadelphia neighborhoods. There have been recent shootings off campus within 3 to 4 blocks of Wingard's future home. And within the last month, Temple students have been robbed in their off-campus homes on at least 2 occasions, along with 2 recent armed robberies of students who were walking near campus as well. So a lot for Wingard to continue to tackle.
Yeah, again, so I mean, what gives you the right to deny citizens their Second Amendment right? Like, explain that to me. Let alone the fact that somebody would actually want to go to school in Philadelphia. You'd want to go to a war zone. You're already mentally incompetent. You're already being taught that you're evil. You're already being taught to feel sorry for the Black community. But that doesn't stop the Black community from killing you. I wonder, and now the Temple president is drinking the Kool-Aid and he's going to live right on campus. Bro, you're going to get killed. There's going to be a home invasion. You're going to get robbed. And I'm not going to feel sorry for you. You deny American citizen. Again, I've said this before. I bet he doesn't tell them. I bet the president of the university, he doesn't tell Temple students that they can't vote. I bet he doesn't tell them. Well, he probably, I bet he tells them the GOP is terrorist, right? I bet he doesn't tell them they can't vote. I bet he doesn't tell women that they can't have an abortion. I bet he doesn't tell people that they can't have a jury. I bet he doesn't tell you that you're allowed to a lawyer. I bet he thinks discrimination is illegal. Well, I mean, he believes in affinity groups. So discrimination against white people is okay. So it sounds like they just I bet he wouldn't tell Muslims or Jews they can't go to their mosque or their synagogue, right? Do you think he would tell people what type of religion they can practice? So potentially you're allowed to choose your religion. You're allowed to vote. You're allowed to a lawyer. You're allowed to have an abortion, but you're not allowed to have the Second Amendment. Why is that? He is 100% aware of every student and everything that happens on his campus. 100% aware. And now he's trying to set an example. You are not different. You are not special. And if he carries or if he has armed security like a police escort, fuck this guy. How fucking dare you if that happens? Why do you get to have security and all of your students don't? That's called being a boss, not a leader. And if you don't know the difference, well, that's another stream. All right. I don't know if you've seen this one. This is making the rounds, so we had to cover it. This girl goes into a phone store. She tries to get the phone. As soon as the guy replaces the phone, watch what happens. And if you're from a black place like Philly, you know that you always get the money first. Asians know that, Indians know that, Arabs know that. Anybody who's from a black community, like especially South Philly, if you walk into a bodega with all the bulletproof glass, they never give you the product first. Even Lucy's, even single cigarettes, they ask for the dollar first. That's just how it is. That's how you interact with the black community. Oh my God, you Oh, what a dumb bitch. A thief. Did you hear the guy? Door's locked. Let's watch it again. That's hilarious. Door's locked. Oh, it gets better.
Think I'm stupid? Come on. Open it. It's locked. Give me the phone. What you want to grab my phone for? Give me the phone. I'm gonna take the screen off and you can get out of there, or I can call the cops. What is it? I'm not calling. Why am I inside the store? Like, why you lock the doors on me? I ain't my phone.
Why'd you lock the door on me? Bitch, why didn't you pay for the phone? You're not special. How's that? I know you went to a school that, oh, you're these poor little puppies and everything's not your fault. You're a fucking thief. And guess what? She's going to threaten this guy with violence. Ready?
All right, I'm gonna call the cops if that's the case. You're gonna give me my screen back, or you're gonna go home? Which one is it?
Listen to him doing training day on this guy. You want to go to jail? You want to go home?
All you have to do is give me the phone. Let me take the screen off, and I'll let you go. Give me the phone back. Give me the phone
So she calls her mom saying the guy won't let her go.
back. Give me the phone. I'm gonna take the screen off, and you can put your old screen back on and let you go.
I'm at the one down the way, the sale call store.
So this is a terrible idea. Now you're locked in with the criminal. I hope you're carrying.
The customer tried to run away with a phone screen that I repaired for her.
No, I did not try to run away. Stop lying.
I got you on video.
Stop lying. So she's a compulsive liar too. So she lives in a delusional world too, right? Great. What a great community. Oh, it gets better.
Now she's threatening me to get somebody over here to shoot me. Yeah. And all I told her is to give me the phone, let me take the screen off, and I'll let her go. But she's getting people sent over here so they can shoot up the store.
Now what the f is going on?
She tried to run out.
Oh, here's her mom. Oh, here's her wonderful mother. Oh boy. Oh, what a great community.
She tried to run out of the store.
Okay.
And I told her, give me the phone, I'll take the screen off, and we can be done with this. But she wasn't.
So this isn't a white guy. This guy looks like maybe Arab or Middle Eastern. I mean, who would want to deal with this? He locked the door, so he's probably dealt with this before, right? That was probably just his like funny laugh for the day.
Wasn't having it.
How much is the phone cost?
The screen is $125.
You only charge me $75 for my device.
She has an XR.
I got an 11.
Or 11.
Right, that's what I'm saying. You didn't charge my other keyboard.
Right. So now the mom isn't, disciplining her child. Oh, you tried to steal? Okay, we're going right to the police right now. No, now she's negotiating the price.
The screen for the 1200 is $200.
You didn't charge me when you fixed my phone. They didn't charge me that.
Who gives a fuck about your phone? I couldn't do it, man. I left Philly. I couldn't do this.
You must have got insurance or something.
No, you y'all fixed your insurance. What do you mean? You must have got his car. I got his insurance. Right. So why you didn't go to the insurance? But I don't know.
All she has to do is give me the phone back and I can take the screen off and we're done.
You just go there. You just go around the corner and get it fixed. Come on, let's go. This is the phone. I'm about to get it fixed. This is the
Wow. Now that's some parenting right there. That's the type of parenting where that study came out that said how involved black fathers are more involved in 2013, that self-reported study. Let's hear that shrieking again. Holy shit.
You just go there. You just go around the corner and get it fixed. Come on, let's go. This is the phone. I'm about to get it fixed. This is the phone.
Wow. Not even acknowledging that your daughter's a thief. You're just talking about the money. Okay.
Hang up. Why you gonna try to break my phone? Break your phone.
I want to be broken.
I'm even trying to place that card in $100 some other.
Yeah, that's what she's concerned about, the price. Not that it... Wow.
You not tell me that when I dropped my phone off.
Yes, I did.
No, you did not. You about to have me do some crazy shit, bitch.
She ran. Your daughter is a liar. Your intention was to run out here with the phone. That's why your friend had the door open and I told you to have her close it. I knew you were doing this. Honey, I've been doing this for 30 years. You have a problem? No.
Now imagine if her mom wasn't there and this girl tried to fight this guy. Imagine if this guy hit this girl in self-defense. You think his store would be set on fire tomorrow? Oh, what a wonderful community. Oh my gosh. All right. Got another story you probably didn't hear about. This was a shooting at a KFC in St. Louis because they ran out of corn. Here we go.
A lot of things. Tonight, St. Louis police are looking for a man who lost it over a KFC running out of corn.
The man got so mad, he shot
Wow.
an employee. This all played out at the KFC that's on Del Mar near Kings Highway. That is in the Central West End. And as our Shoshana Stahl reports, the violence has people annoyed and concerned.
I think everyone's feeling on edge these days. Yeah. Sometimes it just tips people over.
These guys look like they visit KFC frequently.
And St. Louis police say things violently tipped Monday evening when a man in the drive-thru at this KFC.
Look at that plywood. Look at that plywood. What is up with that? You think they had bullet holes through that?
Tipped Monday evening when a man in the drive-thru at this KFC unleashed. He was told they were out of corn. Police say the man made threats on the speaker, then drove up and showed employees a gun. An employee went outside and was shot by the angry customer who took off. Kelly Pound and Renee
Attempted murder.
Brando used the bus stop across from the KFC daily to get to their home just a few
They look like they go to the KFC daily. Damn.
blocks away.
They're just there to get a paycheck. They're not even running the business. You know, it's not on them what happens. They're just trying to get through their day, and then someone decides to take an issue with it and threaten them.
Lindsay Fafoglia.
Yeah, I agree with that. But we're gonna blame a little bit here. Let's go back. Okay, so here's the issue I have with this woman right here. Let's say that guy started shooting, and let's say he just went on a rampage like Ezekiel Kelly in Memphis. This woman is too fat to run away. Right? So whose fault is that? I don't know what to say. All right, who's the blonde they talked to? She's not bad.
Works in the Central West End. The KFC shooting is shocking to her.
When is enough with all of the crime and violence?
Fafoglia moved to the Central West End a few years ago.
But who'd you vote for?
Because it's a safe area. Now,
did you post the black square on Instagram?
She says she sees red flags.
It just seems like every year more things are happening. And like I said, it's...
By who? Who's committing more violence?
Really, for me, the whole city, I want to be as safe as possible. But, of course, anyone wants their neighborhood to be safe.
SLMPD is still...
Wow, safety in a neighborhood? I don't know, man. That sounds like a construct of white supremacy.
Still looking for the KFC shooter, but the description given by police is not very good, and they're not saying if there's surveillance. In the Central West End, Shoshana Stahl, News.
I mean, we could take a guess. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if there's camera footage or not, so we'll see. So yeah, and that's been happening a lot. In fact, the news has actually stopped reporting on all the violence happening at fast food places because there's just so much. And now I just want to do a little comparison here with the mainstream media, and they covered this shooting at that nightclub when it turned out that it was by one of them. So I'm going to tread lightly here. All right. I'm afraid to even play it because I don't want to get a strike on my channel. So they show the vigil. They talk about the people who died. And look, I don't support this. I condone this. I disavow this. If you have a problem with parents taking their children to, drag time story hour, this is not the way to win support on our side. Okay. Now, if they were touching kids, if they were doing things to kids, then I don't feel sorry for them. But the thing about vengeance is you have to be sure. Okay? And my advice is, like, do not take your kids there. If you don't want to take your kids there, don't let your kids go there. Now, the guy who did this, due process, give him a jury, give him a trial. Yeah. Fuck that guy. What he did was insane. That's not the answer. I'm all about using a gun in self-defense. But what this guy did, he killed 5 innocent people, potentially. Again, I don't know their stories. I don't know their backgrounds. I disavow that. But what I am going to say, the point I'm trying to make here is that this story, look at this vigil, okay? Look at this vigil right here. The story got mass national media attention. They're downplaying the fact that it was a member of their own community. The shooter is non-binary, right? The shooter is non-binary. Also, he threatened to blow up his mom with a bomb. And then his mom didn't testify against him. And the rifle he used, he legally bought. Now, that sounds a little interesting to me. But my point is, they're covering this story. This is a big story because apparently when something happens to the trans community, it's apparently the worst thing in the world. And they're blaming the GOP, which I really don't understand. Now, if it's so important to speak about violence, see this vigil here? I have a question for MSNBC and I have a question for Joy Reid. Let me pull up my next story so you see what I'm talking about. Here's my comparison. So at a vigil,
people were shot, including a young woman who was killed, all while attending a candlelight vigil in Baytown. 25-year-old Deisha Allen lost her life while celebrating.
So this girl is dead. Rest in peace. So you heard that right. 14 people were shot. 1 was killed while they were at a vigil. To me, that's an act of domestic terrorism. But you're not going to see the story on CNN. Joy Reid is not going to talk about the story on CNN. Why? Well, see, when black people commit crime, it's because of post-traumatic slave disorder. And black on black crime, well, that's just a QAnon conspiracy theory GOP talking point.
The life of a friend who had been murdered. Tonight, we are hearing from some of those.
Who shoots a funeral? Who shoots a vigil? And you're not going to hear about this. They're not going to talk about it because the killers are the wrong color. That's the only reason. That's it.
Those who were caught in the crossfire when bullets started flying off North Market Loop and Thompson Road. And that is where KPRC2's Rowan Balogan joins us live. Rowan.
Keith, we just got new news here of the victims. 1 of the 3 people airlifted yesterday. The family members of Elvina Moxie Thomas says she is out of surgery after being shot in the chest yesterday, and she is expected to recover. She was here with her husband and others here yesterday.
I mean, like, just think about that for a second. A friend of yours or someone you know in your neighborhood is killed. This is in Baytown. So black crime. I don't know the shooter. Maybe it was a white MAGA conservative person walking around at 2 a.m. with, bleach and a noose. And then they got in a car and said, yeah, let's shoot up some black people. Or maybe it was just a black criminal, right? Just imagine being at a vigil for someone you know from the neighborhood and then people shoot at you. What would you want to happen to the people who did that drive-by? You shot 14 people at, bro, terrorism. They're terrorists. And it will never make national media. Joy Reid will never talk about it. Okay?
When this vigil turned deadly. Walking around in a hospital gown, Dwayne Comier says it's a miracle he's able to do so.
I still got a bullet lodged in my shoulder. It fractured a couple of my disc in my spine. Got a couple of fractures there, and a bullet lodged in between one of them.
Cormier is one of 13 injured at a vigil where authorities say the shooter shot into the group minutes after a balloon release. Investigators say Daisha Allen was shot and pronounced dead at the hospital.
We were first cousins, her dad, and my mom, my sisters and brothers. We were first cousins, more like sisters, more like best friends, like.
And I hate the crime that comes out of your community. But that doesn't mean that this girl deserved this. Did this guy deserve to get shot like this? This guy right here, did he deserve this? He was attending a vigil. He wasn't going around as a soldier. He wasn't representing any gang or any set. They were mourning. And it makes me sick that, you know, like no one on the left will cover this. You think the Young Turks are going to talk about this?
Friends, like we did everything together.
Mariah Neville says Allen leaves behind a daughter.
I'm going to tell that to my little niece.
Harris County Sheriff's Office investigates an abandoned vehicle set on fire 2 miles from the shooting scene. Authorities say it may be the alleged shooters because it matches the make and model.
It's just awful. I mean, even just adults. I mean, it's just so dangerous, and those bullets don't have, you know, I mean, eyes or anything, and so it just puts everybody at risk.
And there was a whole bunch of little infants running around out here. You know?
Comier says strollers and coats left behind show how hectic the night turned.
I don't know what could have sparked it because we was out here for hours. Everything was going smooth, nice, no problems at all.
Now, family members of these victims are begging the public, anyone with information that will lead to an arrest, to contact Harris County Sheriff's Office. Live in Baytown, Roman Balogan, KPRC 2 News.
Why isn't this national news? I mean, this to me is the equivalent of shooting a mosque or a synagogue or a church, right? Oh, that's right. The shooters probably weren't white. That's why you're never going to hear about it. And again, I mean, this guy's in horrible shape. This girl's dead. You shot, like, what kind of a fucking coward shoots at a fucking balloon vigil, man? I hope they find you. I hope you never hurt anyone again. But I don't know. Do they have a woke prosecutor? Is this guy going to get an ankle monitor and like a court date in 2024 and do it again? It's disgusting, man. I don't know how I feel. I don't know if I want that guy to get due process and a lawyer and a trial. Like, what is the right thing for somebody like that to get? People are mourning the loss of someone who was killed. They release balloons in the air, and then you open fire at them. You know what I mean? Like, I have no words. And so, lastly, in our "They're Coming for Your Kids" segment, I'm surprised this actually came out. So, rate of detransition among trans youth higher than activists claim. Wow. You mean the trans community is being lied to, or they're lying to you? Well, I thought according to people like Xanderthal, or whatever his fucking name is, I thought that there are no detransitioners. They just don't exist. Everything's perfectly fine. Guys, when you cut off your body parts, you're happier. There's no such thing as social contagion. At the Detrans Canada event held last month at York University in Ontario, recent studies were revealed that showed detransition rates up nearly 30%. Okay, so it looks like they're actually going over some studies. I hope they're not bullshit. In pediatric gender clinics all over the West, parents are often told two things. The first is that if they don't affirm their child's identity and consent to experimental puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones, their child is at a high risk of suicide. So, a sort of medical coercion. And the second is that almost no one regrets the decision to medically transition. There is no solid evidence to support the former, and the new emerging data revealed at a recent conference appears to discredit the latter. At the Re-Detrans Canada event held last month at York University in Ontario, researcher Kinnan Ross McKinnon gave a presentation which included recent studies that showed detransition rates far higher than the oft-cited less than 1% statistic that proponents of gender-affirming care for minors are so fond of repeating. Several studies were presented with detransition rates ranging from 2% to almost 30%. One study from the Netherlands showed a detransition rate of just 2%, whereas a similar study from the US showed an almost 30% detransition rate. Neither of these studies looked at the reasons for discontinuing medical transition. 3 recently published studies in England show detransition rates between 6.9% and 9.8%, and in these studies, there was an explicit change in identity at the time of detransition. So they didn't buy into the delusion anymore. Let me translate. Then McKinnon reveals the result of a new Canadian and American study that has yet to be published. This was a survey of 774 young Canadians and Americans who had initiated gender-affirming medical treatments. 16% reported stopping or reversing treatment, and the most frequently cited reasons were health concerns, change in identity, and cost. The less than 1% detransition rate that trans activists and gender-affirming care providers so frequently cite is from a study done in a different time and on a different group of patients. It is from the time before the explosion in adolescent girls experiencing sudden onset gender dysphoria. Oh, good for you, PM. Good for you. Started to flood gender clinics all over the Western world, and from a time when doctors practiced a more cautious, watchful, waiting approach for young people experiencing gender-related distress. In the last decade, gender clinics have abandoned caution and adopted the affirmative model of care, which demands that doctors immediately chop off their parts. Oh, I'm sorry, it's not written there. Immediately affirm a young person's transgender identity and fast track them onto the medical transition pathway. It sounds like population control to me. Hey, did you want grandkids? No. No, I don't want grandkids. I want my bloodline to die. The rising rate of detransition appeared to reflect the recklessness of this approach. Michelle Zachigna, a detransitioned woman who was one of the first people in Ontario to be medically transitioned under the new affirmative action care model, attended the conference last month. This upcoming study and the study examining the U.S. military healthcare systems, MHS, medical and pharmacy billing records, which showed a discontinuation rate of nearly 30% within 4 years of beginning hormones, are showing that, at the very least, the number of people who decide exogenous hormones aren't right for them is much higher than previously suggested. Oh, we're being lied to? Wow, crazy. Zachigna said in a statement to the Post Millennial. However, this likely won't be interpreted as a problem with gender-affirming healthcare initially. I expect to hear all of the excuses that are employed to excuse detransition being a clinical failure. It was transphobia. It was external pressure. It was a necessary part of the gender journey. Anything to avoid admitting that a rising number of people are being prescribed something that was never going to help them in the first place. And she's a detransitioner, so is she going to be called transphobic? Weak. That's all ad hominem, bro. Hey, this number of people are saying they don't want to do it. Oh, that's transphobic. That's not addressing the statistic. Zachigna is one of a rapidly growing number of young people who are speaking out about the harm gender-affirming care did to them. The DTrans subreddit now has over 40,000 members, and malpractice lawsuits are starting to bring an end to what? Not fast enough. Not fast enough. And that's not good enough. Jail. You think you're going to cut off the parts of children? What is this, the cult of Moloch? Malpractice lawsuits are starting to bring an end to what one pediatric neurosurgeon recently called an extraordinary medical atrocity. All right, so that's They're Coming for the Kids. So again, just to sum up, I asked this at the beginning and I'll ask it one more time in case anybody ever does actually watch my stream. Baltimore family, black Baltimore family moved into the burb I live in. I left South Philly. Baltimore father saw me walking my bully breed dog, asked me about it. I told him, where I'm from Philly. Bully breeds have a bad name. He told me he moved from Baltimore to save his son, to remove his son from the black community. And I asked him, so the answer to save your son was to move him to where there's less black people? So my question to you is, if a black father moves his family away from Blackistan, he's seen as a good father, right? But if a white, Asian, or Indian say, I don't want to move to Baltimore because I don't want my kids to get shot, are they racist? Answer in the comments below. I'm big time. That's news to me.